Hello, welcome to my channel 3M user. This is Mech series. In the previous chapter, we learned how to polishing our 3D mesh, what we created in Zbrush. This is what I have so far. You could see it here, and we could see the skull from outside, but that's what we wanted. And let's get started. So before we jumping on adding details in our mesh, what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you some techniques how to do details from mesh. Before, let's cover the basics, then we jump to detailing our mech. I'm going to say ready. So there is I'm going to use several different techniques. You know, there is something called panel loops, and there is called extraction technique. So that's what we're going to use. I'm going to use using masking as a, so if you see masking, like I could mask anywhere like that, and if you want to learn how to do mask, how to create different kind of mask, check out my Zbrush basic tutorial. I will have a description in this video as well, so you guys can go and check it out. So let's get started. Let's first go through extraction techniques. Extraction is nothing but you just extract meshes from your already existing meshes. Okay, I just turned on symmetry to see something. So I'm just going to create some basic shapes. Let's do one side because it's going to be really dense. I have this shape. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take masker, make this shape a little bit sharper. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to geometry tab, and there is no subtool tab. It should be, there is something called extract. So what we're going to do, we're going to extract the shape from our sphere. So there is double. So what double does is it extract, you know, two-sided. I don't want that, so I'm going to get rid of it. It is a smoothness of surface smoothness you want. I'm just going to put it to 0 because since we are doing art surface modeling, this is the thickness of the extraction. As soon as it is extract, this is the thickness of 0.002. If I increase my thickness to 0.1 and if it extract, it's going to give me thickness of 1 centimeter. I don't know, 0.1. I don't know how Zbrush have measurements. 0.1, it gives 0.1 thickness. So once I am happy with it, I'm just say, so if you click outside, it's going to disappear because we are not like we're telling Zbrush we are not happy with the shape. Once you extract, before it used to create a shape and it puts in the geo, but nowadays they changed it. So once I get extract, and you can see the preview from all the angles, and then you can say accept. Once you accept, it's going to put in a different subtool here. So it's right here. So I have a mesh here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to solo it. So if I hit Shift F to see the polygroups, this is what I have. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my edge loops and I'm going to say group loops. So once I hit group loops, it's going to give the loops here for me. So I say 4, I would say 3, group polish to 0. So it created loops. Let's say group polish of this. So once I hit it, let's say 4. Let's start with 4. No triangles. Let's say, there you go. So what it does, it just created group loops for us. So once I have the shape, what I could do, I go to deformation. So I polish by groups. So once I do polish by groups, it's going to give me a crisp. It doesn't give a crisp edge, but it polishes the surfaces and it creates a decent shape. From this point, what I could do, I could use clipping brushes. So what I could do, I could do Control Shift, and if you click on here, and there are like several different clipping brushes. So you can use clipping curve. I'm gonna say that, and I'm gonna cut it off. I'm not worried about inside because so this one has some kind of curve. So I'm gonna go here, hold on Alt, then this curve. There you go. And I'm gonna cut this curve as well. And I'm gonna do this. So see, I'm literally making the shape crisper, but just using clipping curve brushes. Because since we are doing a lot of art surfacing, you can also curve it as well. You could see it. So now once I have it, I could say like polish. If I say polish, it's gonna polish from there. If I say polish by groups, it's gonna try to keep the crisp edges. You could also see by crisp edges, it's gonna do that as well. So polish by crisp edges. But if you have a geo, if your mesh is really dense, it's gonna give a good result as well. So polish by future, then you can have some. There you go. Since if I go through my sphere, we have a nice shape, so I could pull it in my geo inside. You can see that looks like a mechanical detail. And if I hit Shift F, you could see literally, and you can also you could use trim dynamic brushes. I'm going to use trim dynamic brushes to make it really bit sharper this side. Oops. Okay, I'm going to trim dynamic brushes, and you could sharpen. I'm not using a tablet, I'm using my mouse, so my strokes are really worse. But you could see we could make shapes like that. So after that, you can literally go and make add some alphas. So what I'm going to do, go to standard brush. I'm going to drag react, and I'm going to say some bolt details. There you go. So I'm going to say, so now it's going to add some bolt details there. So there you go. It's pretty good, you know, like we created some kind of shape from just extracting. This is a technique I'm going to be using in my Mech bus. So I have some, if you want to add some like panel lines in it, you can do it as well. Go to Damien standard brush, and you just literally make some shapes, and just holding on shift to create straight lines. It's kind of like Photoshop as well. So here I'm not worried about it. So there you go. So there you go. So we created like some kind of panel lines in here. It was really faster. So now the next technique I'm going to show you guys is panel loops. Panel loops are really powerful in Zbrush. And same thing, so I'm gonna hide this mesh. So same thing, I'm gonna duplicate, and I'm gonna say polygroups. And if you see my polygroups, it's like one polygroup. So what I'm gonna say group mask. So what it's gonna give a polygroup based on my masking. So once I have it, I'm gonna solo it. I'm gonna hide. Oops. I'm going to delete the other sphere. So I'm gonna say you go to modify topology and delete it. It has subdivision, so it's not letting me, so I'm going to delete lower, and I'm going to say delete it. So now if you see we have a shape. So to make this crisper, there's something called slice curve. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to slice curve brush. I'm going to hit Shift F to see the polygroup. So and then I'm going to make the shapes. Okay, then I could do this, then I could do this. I have some angles in it. So what slice curve doing is it just creating polygroups based on my slices. So once I have this, I could go to modify, delete it. So there you go. Now we have an awesome shape. Now we can create panel loops, but the only problem is like we kind of like have triangles here. The other way to work around is you can use ZR measure. I usually put my adaptive size and curve strength to 100. Then I have my target polygons to 5. Then I hit the ZR measure. So once I hit ZR measure, you can see it kind of like let out my crisp edges. I'll try to say freeze border, and then I try to do it. So try to maintain the edges, the corners of my mesh. So once I have it, I'm going to say half, and I'm going to get rid of it. Okay, let's see freeze border. Okay, so if I hit F, so it's going to divide my polygons into so now if you see, this mesh is really easy to work with. That's what we wanted, right? For some reason I hit my curve mode, there's like a dotted line going on, so I'm going to delete my curve, and now you can literally go and fix it. Like if you have low polygons, it's easy to fix it than you're in high polygon. So that's what I wanted. So now I have everything here. So now what I could do is I could do geometry, go to edge loop, and there's something called panel loops. It's the same thing. You have thickness. It's a polish is the corner and the polishing. So okay, so let's do a phi polishing, and the bevel is how much bevel you want. Okay, let's do one panel loops. So as soon as I hit panel loops, if you see, my corner edge are kind of like smooth because my polish is phi. So as soon as I hit my polish to 0, if you see, it created, you know, like a edge loop, and it also gave me a thickness as well. So now it created a beautiful shape. Even if I subdivided, it's gonna give a decent amount of shape to work with. So what I'm gonna do now here, I could literally do whatever I want from here. It's not masked, so I could like move my mesh and, you know, play with it. So now if you want to, let's say you want like more thickness, you could go back and increase the thickness to 0.1. 8 pounds. So there's thickness, but there's some problem here. In order to fix that, you could go to deformation and you could polish a little bit, and you should polish by groups. So that help you to get rid of that problem. So now you see we kind of like add this detail in there, and you could say polish by group, polish by group. So there you go. Now we kind of like have a good shape, you know, and a good, but we kind of lost the edge details. You could also add a loop. So in order to add like edge loops, you could do crease edges or Z modeler. I usually do Z modeler. Sometimes it doesn't work, but sometimes it works. So let's grab Z modeler. So as soon as I hit Z modeler, you can hold on shift and you can click and drag and add a loop. So what this is gonna do, it's gonna create edge loop for us and a crisper edges. You will see in a second what I mean by that. So now I have it. So once I hit where is my edge loop, panel loops, it kind of freaked out. What I'm going to do, I'm going to reduce my thickness to 0.05, panel loops. So now if you see, because we added that edge, it's kind of like freaked out. No problem, we could go to deformation tab and we could say polish by features or polish by groups, or polish by crisp edges. So that polish by crisp edges means like it does, you know, polish based on the crisp edges. So we have some crisp edges, so I'm going to do that. So there you go, boom. So now we have good shape. So I could do whatever I want. So there's another technique we could use without adding loops, is inserting edge loop tool. So I'm going to show you. Go here, geometry. If you hit edge loop, okay, so in order to edge loop to work, it should have some thickness. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some thickness. Now if I hide this and I've had edge loop, it's going to add a loop at the end. So now if I go back and if we deformation and if I polish, it's going to have a loop. And sometimes this is really useful because what we could do is we could make like different shapes. I'll show you what I mean by that. So we mask this and go back and control invest the mask, then go to deformation and inflate in or inflate out. Okay, let's inflate in. No, so I'm gonna hide this, okay, now I have this, mask it and go back. Now inflate in. So we could add like several details from just by using edge loop tool. So now if you see, we added these details there. So I could do polish by feature or polish by groups in order to get the desired result. There you go. So now we have, you know, like a cool shape right there. Then you go and add details and do whatever you want. So the next technique we could do is something called crease edges. Crease edges, what it does, it creates crease on the shapes wherever we want. So let's go back to the shape we had. I'm literally going back by hitting Ctrl Z. So this is what we have, right? So now if you want to add crease on certain edges, what we could do is go here. Okay. So I'm gonna delete everything else. Go to subtool, no, geometry, and modify topology, delete it then. So I'm gonna assign a shortcut key there so that I know. So there's nothing there. So in order to crease this edge, what you could do is you go to select lasso tool and you select this and inverse the selection and you say edge loop and crease. So this creates a crease, but we don't see it, but it's there. Does it do crease? Yeah, now you can see it. So now we have a crease. If you see, it added a crease. So let's add like crease on all the edges so we could see the result. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna delete this edge, this one, and this one. We missed one, so I'm gonna grab this one too. And if you see, I have this things, but there's something kind of like messed up. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use my move tool. There you go. Just fix it. You know, it's not a big deal. I could fix it in a second. Now I crease. So now if you see my geo, now if I do it, it has that crease. Also the other way to look about it is, let's do panel loop so you can see it. Edge loop, panel loops. So now if I go and go to deformation tab and polish it, I think it got rid of my crease. Where is my crease? Geometry, edge loop, crease. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to, okay, let's polygroup this. So we could okay, I'm going to do group visible, and so we have two polygroups, and I'm going to say, you can also do this other way. You can polygroup it, then you go to crease and you can say crease polygroups border. So now it creased all the borders. So now if I mask this and use my deformation tab and inflate it a little bit, and if I smooth it, boom, there you go. It has the crisp edges, so polish by groups, or you could say polish by features. So it hold on to the crease. So we see like now we have like a crisp edge here based on the crease. Like this, even here the crease edges, you know, hold on to it. So now you can divide, then you can like add details and go from there. We learned several different techniques here, and most probably you will learn as we start modeling the Mech bust. So to recap, what we learned today is we learned the extraction techniques, and we learned the polygroup technique, and we learned the panel loops. So in the next tutorial, we'll start detailing our Mech bust, and we'll go from there. And if you have any questions regarding this, please write me at 3damuser@gmail.com or leave a comment in the comment section, and I'll get back to it. And thanks for watching, guys. And if you like this tutorial, please like, subscribe, and comment below. And have a great day.